I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Simone, my wife of 5 years, was topless, bouncing on the lap of one of the guys in the hot tub below. From the look on her face and the look on the guy's face, it was pretty clear to me what they were doing. What the hell? Angry, I pulled out my phone and took a short video. I thought about changing into my swim trunks, but changed my mind. I sat on a chair in the room and thought back. No wonder she didn't want me to come to this party with her. She had been working as a secretary for S&G Funds, a hedge fund company, for about a year or so, and she really seemed to be happy. Now I know why. Earlier that week, I saw a text come up on her phone, letting her know there would be a company Christmas party this weekend, and she was allowed to bring a +1. When I told her about it, she tried to dissuade me from going. "Oh, Carl, you'll just be bored anyway," was her reply. "I don't get it. Why don't you want me to go with you?" I asked. "Are you ashamed to be seen in public with me or something?" "Of course not, silly. It's just that these are financial gurus. There's probably going to be a lot of boring talk about money and stuff, and you'd just get bored," she replied. Her company had a habit of holding these parties about once a month, and they had always been staff only. Most of the time, Simone was gone until late that night, or even sometimes late the next day. I never made a fuss about it, but now I had a better idea of what actually went on at these things. "I see. Well, maybe I'd like to spend the evening with you anyway," I asked. "Have it your way. If you're going, you'd better get your tux cleaned. But trust me, you're probably not going to have a lot of fun." The day of the party, she suggested I bring a pair of swim trunks. Swim trunks? For a Christmas party? It's December, for crying out loud, and it's cold outside. "Swim trunks? It's awfully cold outside for swim trunks, don't you think?" I asked. "Nah, we usually end up in my boss's penthouse after the main party, and he has a really nice hot tub." "I see. So you do this often then?" I asked. "Yeah, pretty much every time. Now promise me you'll be on your best behavior tonight, okay?" "I always am," I told her. This didn't sound too good. Why would she tell me this? "Why are you telling me this?" I asked. "Oh, it's just that these parties can get pretty wild sometimes. I don't want you to get upset with anything you might see. The guys there are quite friendly and can get pretty handsy, if you know what I mean." "Well, as long as everything passes the husband test, there shouldn't be any problem, right?" I asked in response. She smiled and said nothing, but gave me a kiss on the cheek. When we got to the main party, Simone introduced me to a friend of hers, Linda. "Linda, this is my husband, Carl," she said. Linda looked me over and smiled. "Husband? This is going to be fun. You really are a wild and crazy girl, you know that?" she asked with a smile. I wondered what she meant by that. Simone smiled as she giggled. "I gotta go mingle, sweetie. Could you get me something to drink? Maybe some wine. Come on, let's go," she told Linda, without giving me so much as a backward glance. I made my way to the bar and got her wine and a beer for myself. I looked around, but I didn't see Simone anywhere. I walked around, looking for her, but to no avail. After a half hour, I sat at an empty table and hoped she would come look for me. In the meantime, I watched as everyone danced and had a general good time. No one said anything to me and walked around me as though I wasn't even there. I guess she was right. I wasn't having any fun at all, and I was getting more than a bit frustrated that my wife would simply abandon me like this. After nursing my beer for a couple of hours, I said, "To hell with this stuff," and got up. I figured if Simone wasn't even going to spend any time with me, I'd just go home and leave her to her friends. I started walking to the entrance when Simone and Linda came up to me. There were 3 other guys with them, and one had his arm around Simone's waist. Simone didn't bother to make any introductions. "Oh, there you are," she said. I could tell she had been drinking. "We were looking all over for you." Yeah, sure you were, I thought. When she kissed me, I could detect the taste of tequila and something else. "Yeah, I was just getting ready to go home since you abandoned me 2 hours ago." "Where were you?" She blushed and looked down as the guys with her smirked at me. I felt like punching them in the teeth. "We were just having a few shots," Linda said. Simone looked at her funny. I wondered what the hell was going on here. "Shots of what?" "I can taste tequila, but there's something else." "Oh, nothing. Hey, listen, we're all going over to Ben's place. He's got the hot tub warming up. Are you ready?" "I guess," I said. "Am I going to get to spend some time with you, or are you planning to abandon me again tonight?" "Oh, don't be silly. You'll see me later. I'll ride over with Linda and the guys if that's okay with you." "Why not ride with me?" I asked. One of the guys grabbed her by the hand and pulled her away. "You can follow me, dude," he said in a tone of voice that pissed me off even more. Simone and Linda followed the guys, and I could hear them laughing as they left. I got my car and followed them. When we arrived, I saw that Simone had already changed into her bikini. What the hell was going on here? When we got there, Simone had already gone into the hot tub with the two guys, who I later learned were Ben and Dale, the two senior partners in the firm. Both of them struck me as little more than rich frat boys. Linda came over to me after they were outside. "So, you think that maybe we can hook up later tonight?" she asked. "What makes you think I'm even inclined to do that?" "I'm married," I replied. "Oh, I thought you guys had an open marriage or something." "What makes you think that?" I asked. "Well, the way Simone carries on with all the other guys. I thought you were into being folded, especially the way she kissed you earlier." "What the hell makes you say that? What do you mean by the way she kissed me earlier?" I asked. "Well, she had already pleasured Ben and Dale. She still had their essence in her mouth when she kissed you. Did you enjoy that?" I felt like throwing up. Her expression changed when she saw my reaction. "Oh my God, you didn't know, did you?" "No. How long has she been doing this?" I asked. "Ever since she came on board the company," Linda said. Oh my God, I thought. That's been over a year now. All this time she's been their cheating woman and I had no clue. "Is that what she was doing at the party? Engaging with those two guys?" I asked. "And a few others. I'm sorry. I just assumed you knew. She really does love you, you know," Linda answered. "Yeah, I'm feeling the love," I said. "Look, why don't you go upstairs and change? Maybe she'll keep herself under control tonight since you're right here." "Yeah, right," I said. I headed upstairs, and that's when I saw her intimate with those two guys. As much as I loved her, there was no way I was going to tolerate this. I decided to confront her about this and went downstairs. "Oh, there you are," Simone said as I got to the bottom of the stairs. "Why aren't you in your bathing suit? Aren't you coming out to the hot tub with us?" I grabbed her arm and pulled her into what looked like a study and closed the door. "What's the matter, Carl?" she asked. "What's the matter? Were you ever going to tell me about having an open marriage?" "What?" she asked. "That's what Linda told me," I said. I pulled out my phone and played the video of her with the two guys in the hot tub. "What's this all about? Thought that maybe you'd just humiliate me even further after abandoning me at the party. And is it true you gave pleasure to those guys off at the party so I could taste their essence in your mouth?" "Oh, come on, Carl. We were just having a little bit of fun." "Yeah, I pleasured them. So what? It doesn't mean that I love you any less." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. She admitted to having intimacy with them, and I was just supposed to go along with it. "It means everything," I said. I pulled off my wedding ring and put it in her hand. Then I grabbed her left hand and pulled off her rings. "Carl, what are you doing?" she asked. "You're a disgusting pig, and right now I hate your guts. Merry Christmas. I hope it was worth it to you. Don't bother coming home. I'll be seeing a lawyer about a divorce on Monday." "You can't mean that," she cried. "I love you. I don't want a divorce." "I don't care what you want anymore. I know the truth. I know why you didn't want me to come with you. I won't be your old. Goodbye, Simone." I turned and left. One of the guys, I don't know which, called after me. "Hey, you leaving already?" You know, that's one hot wife you got there. Glad you like her. She's all yours from now on. I left the penthouse, went downstairs to my car, and drove home. Simone began calling and texting me after I left, but I ignored her calls. When I got home, I deleted her messages and blocked her number. I changed out of my tux, grabbed some trash bags, and began tossing her clothes and things into them. I put them into her car and pulled it out of the garage. I removed the garage door opener and changed the code so she couldn't get back inside. By then, it was about 2:30 a.m. and I was dead tired. I fell on the bed and instantly went to sleep. I woke up the next morning to the sound of our house phone ringing. I picked it up without thinking. "Yeah," I said when I answered. "Carl, it's me. Please come get me." "Forget you. You're not my concern anymore," I said. "Carl, please, we have to talk," she begged. "No, we don't. If you have anything to say, you can say it through my lawyer. You do need to come get your car out of my parking space. I've already packed all your stuff in it," I told her before hanging up. She called right back, but I unplugged the house phone. I had no desire to ever see her face or hear her voice again. I fell back on the bed and went to sleep, plugging the phone back in when I got up. That afternoon, after I finally woke up enough to be coherent, I looked and saw that her car was gone. Good. Maybe she finally got the message. I started looking online for a divorce lawyer and read all I could find about the divorce laws in our state. This was a community property state, but we didn't own any real estate, so that wouldn't be an issue. We had no children, so there would be no child support. She made as much, if not a little more than me, so I didn't think there would be any alimony. I also found that while most divorces in this state were no fault, there was a provision to file on the basis of adultery, cruelty, or abuse. That would make the divorce more costly and take more time to resolve, but I didn't care about that. After looking, I noted the number for one Jenny Hawkins, attorney at law, and decided to give her a call on Monday. As I was making my notes, my cell phone rang. I looked but didn't recognize the number. I figured Simone could have been using someone else's phone to call me, but it could have been anyone, so I decided to answer it. "Carl?" asked a female voice. "This is he," I replied. "Carl, this is Linda. I just wanted to let you know Simone is staying with me for a few days. Are you really going for a divorce?" "Yes, I am," I replied. "Carl, she's a wreck. She's in her room crying her eyes out. I'm afraid she's going to have a nervous breakdown." "I don't care. She brought it on herself," I replied. "Don't you have any feelings for her at all?" Linda asked. "Yeah. Right now they can be described as hatred and disgust. She's been messing around with me for a year or more, and she had the audacity to humiliate me in public. We're through." "But she loves you," Linda said. "So she claims. Tell me, what did she do after I left? How long did you two stay at the penthouse? Did she pleasure Ben and Dale again?" "She was upset," Linda said. "We all were." "You're not answering my questions," I said. "Yeah, we all hooked up last night after you left, but only to help Simone feel better. You could have had a good time as well if you'd only stayed." "Where the hell do people like you come from?" I asked, incredulous. "I gotta go, Linda. Goodbye." I ended the call, and that's when I noticed 2 text messages from numbers I didn't recognize. The messages came in early this morning after I had gone to bed. I pulled them up and noticed that videos were attached to them. "Missed one hell of a party, bro," one message read. I played the video and saw Simone getting made airtight by 3 of the men at the penthouse. I recognized Ben and Dale but didn't recognize the other. Linda stood next to them, naked. The man I didn't recognize looked into the camera and spoke. "That's quite a wife you have there, brah," he said with a grin. "Too bad you weren't here. You could have had a great time." They all laughed as he said that. Even Simone laughed. Yeah, I thought. So much for loving me. The second video was more of the same, except it ended with Ben smearing essence on my wedding ring as Simone held it in her open hand. She looked at the camera with a smirk and licked my ring. My hatred for her only grew exponentially. I transferred the videos to my PC and made a copy of them for the lawyer. I thought about sending the videos to all of her friends and her family, but decided against it, at least for now. The info I got from Jenny's website indicated that I needed to be very careful about how I reacted to her actions. Any negative reaction on my part could easily undo my case, her site warned. Okay, so I decided to hold off for the time being. I didn't hear anything from Simone or Linda the rest of that day or the next, which was a good thing as far as I was concerned. I spent the rest of the weekend exorcising Simone's presence from the apartment. On Monday, I called my boss, explained the situation, and took a few days off for vacation. I knew I would be basically worthless, and my boss understood. He had gone through a divorce from a cheating wife, so he understood how I felt. I called Jenny's office and arranged for an appointment that afternoon. On the way to my appointment, I stopped at the bank and did everything I could to separate her from our joint account. I paid off her joint credit card, then canceled it. I took out half of everything and opened a new account in my name only. Jenny explained the divorce laws in our state and asked if I wanted to pursue an alienation of affection lawsuit against her bosses. She explained that it might not go very far, but there was always a chance, given the evidence I had. I told her to do what she thought best. "Where would like them served?" she asked me. "At their office," I said. I wanted them to experience a bit of the same public humiliation they had heaped on me this past year. She nodded her head and made notes. When we finished, I paid a retainer and then headed home. On the way, I got a call from Linda. "Hello?" I said when I answered. "Carl, would you be willing to meet with Simone and me someplace this afternoon?" she asked. "Not really. I just finished seeing my attorney and she suggested I stay away from her. If she has something to say, she can do it through my lawyer. Would you like her contact information?" "Hold on," she said. I could tell she had placed one hand over the phone, and I could hear her talking to someone, but the voices were muffled. A few moments later, she came back on. "I guess that'll have to do," she said quietly. After I gave her Jenny's contact information, she tried to lobby for Simone one last time. "She really does love you, Carl, and she's willing to make this up to you. Can't you please find it in your heart to forgive her?" Well, she has a damn funny way of showing her love. And how exactly will she make this up to me? Can she turn the clock back a year? I don't think so. The answer is no. I will never forgive her for what she did. Okay, if that's the way you want it. I'll pass that on to her. But you know you're going to have to talk to her sometime. Not if I can help it. What's done is done. Tell her she can expect to be served with papers soon. I ended the call and drove the rest of the way home, stopping only to pick up a 12-pack of beer and a couple of packs of cigarettes. I had stopped smoking when we first got married, but I felt that I needed to do something to keep from punching holes in the walls. Shortly after I got home, the house phone rang. I answered, wondering who was calling now. "Hello," I said. "Mr. Jacobs, this is Ben Carlson, your wife's employer," the young male voice said. I recognized the voice from the party. He seemed to have adopted a more professional tone now that he was back in his place of business. "I know who you are, Ben. What do you want?" "Look, I know you're upset about what happened Friday, and I want you to know that we all thought you were okay with your wife's activities at the company gatherings," he said. "So you knew she was married during all this?" I asked. "Yes, but honestly, she told us you guys had an open marriage and that you were okay with what she was doing." "And you never bothered to ask me about it?" I asked. "I didn't think I had to," he replied. "And the videos you guys sent me Friday night? What was up with that?" I asked. "Those videos were her idea. Look, I'm really very sorry about all this. Is there anything I can do to make it up to you?" "Yeah. You can let me kick your balls into the middle of next week after you testify against her in court. Oh, and I intend to sue you for alienation of affection. If you really want to make it up to me, you'll accept my terms without any argument. Anything else?" "You're really suing us?" he asked. "Yes. especially since you've been violating your own moral clauses for the last year while you've been destroying my marriage. Look, man, this was all just in fun. We didn't intend to destroy your marriage. Well, what the hell did you think was going to happen? Did you honestly think I was just going to sit back and applaud you for being with my wife and using her as a goddamn sperm receptacle? Sounds to me like you've been reading too many stories on the internet. Look, man, we can work through this. A lawsuit like that could ruin us, he pleaded. Not my problem. You shouldn't have turned my wife into your cheating woman. Goodbye. I slammed the phone down and grabbed a beer, then headed to the balcony for a smoke. I didn't hear anything from the cheaters until Wednesday, when they were served at Simone's office. I don't believe you actually did it, Linda said. You didn't even give her a chance to explain. Do you have any idea how humiliated she is right now? I really don't give a damn. She didn't care about humiliating me with her cheating, so I simply don't give a damn. Goodbye, Linda. Don't call here again, I added, slamming the phone down. God, that felt so good. A few moments later, I got another call. I recognized the number as coming from Ben's office. What? I yelled as I answered. You jerk! I'm going to kick your back! How dare you sue me! Simone wanted to pleasure us all, you stupid jerk! Maybe you should have taken care of her better. Bring it, jerk, I replied. How dare you mess up my life? Now I'm going to ruin yours. I slammed the phone down and called Jenny to tell her about Ben's threat. Good, she said. I'll file for a temporary restraining order against Simone as well as her cohorts today. I'll make sure you get a copy of the order. Remember what I said. Don't do anything stupid. What if he comes after me? I asked. Make sure that you have witnesses and don't instigate anything, she said. I understood what she meant. Later that afternoon, there was a knock on the door. True to her word, Jenny had filed the TRO and a courier had just delivered my copy. I decided to hedge my bets somewhat and purchased a small motion-activated camera to cover my front room. I also had a nice Louisville Slugger close to the front door just in case. I figured if Ben or his accomplices intended to make good on their threats, I needed to have something for evidence, and I needed some means of protection. Things remained relatively peaceful for the rest of the week. Thankfully, I didn't hear anything from Linda, Simone, or her boyfriends. Until Saturday night, that is. I was sitting on my balcony nursing a beer and a cigarette when I heard my doorbell. That was followed up by pounding on the door. I ground out my cigarette and went into the front room and looked out the peephole in the door. Sure enough, it was Ben, and I could make out someone with him. The pounding continued. Open up, Jacobs. I can hear you in there. Open up so I can kick your back. You're violating a restraining order. I'm calling the cops right now, Ben, I said as I dialed 911 on my phone. You wouldn't dare. Open up now, goddammit. Take your medicine like a man, you little wimp. When the 911 operator came on, I told them what was happening at my door. We've gotten a couple of calls for that area and have already dispatched a couple of cruisers to your location, the operator said. In the meantime, do not open the door until officers arrive. Thank you, I said before ending the call. The pounding continued, and I began to wonder if he was going to break the door down. I clutched the bat tighter and waited. God damn it, open up before I break this door down, he yelled as he pounded on the door. I heard a commotion and looked through the peephole. I saw two very large police officers putting cuffs on Ben and the other man with him. One of the officers knocked on my door. Police, the officer said. I opened the door to see the two men in cuffs. Ben looked at me as the officer led him back to his cruiser. I'm not finished with you, wimp. I'm going to come back and kick your back. I looked back at the officer. Do you know this man? He asked. I nodded my head and showed him the copy of my TRO. He read it over and spoke on his radio before addressing me again. We'll be taking them downtown. They'll be spending the night with us. Can you tell me what this is all about? He took copious notes as I told him my story. Thank you for your cooperation, he said when I finished. I don't think he'll be giving you any more trouble for a little while. I closed the door and locked it before heading back out to my balcony with a fresh beer. The next day, the news of Ben's arrest hit the papers. "Hedge fund CEO arrested," the headline read. The short story below didn't go into a lot of detail, but something told me this was just the beginning of his downfall. Over the course of the next few days, more articles came out, saying that a number of S&G's clients were leaving the company. It seems their clients felt they couldn't trust a company that ruined their employees' marriages. Naturally, this had an impact on the company's bottom line. Good, I thought. I went back to work the following Monday. It was difficult, but I managed to get some work done. I never heard from anyone for about 3 weeks. Then I got a call from Jenny. "Good morning, Carl. How are you holding up?" "About as well as can be expected." "Any word from Simone?" "Yes, she's gotten an attorney and they've petitioned the court for marriage counseling. The judge agreed and has ordered 6 sessions beginning this week." "They can do that?" I asked. "Yes, and it would be to your benefit to show up. If you don't, the judge can hold you in contempt of court and even put you in jail." "There's no way I'm reconciling with that cheating woman," I told her. "I understand, but you need to show up anyway. If the counselor sees there's no hope for reconciliation, she'll let the judge know." "Okay, was there anything else?" I asked. "Yes. Her attorney tells me that Simone is pregnant. If that's the case, the court won't do anything more until paternity has been established." "So I have to wait another 8 or 9 months?" I asked. "As of right now, yes. If it's your child, you'll be ordered to pay child support. On a positive note, however, the judge has agreed to a legal separation, at least until she gives birth." "Wonderful," I said. Jenny gave me the address for the counselor and wished me luck. I wrote down the information and put it on my calendar. I decided that I would make it clear in no uncertain terms there was no way I would ever reconcile with the cheating woman. When I got to the counselor's office, I was ushered right in. A somewhat older woman looked at me over her glasses. Simone sat across from her in a love seat, looking somewhat forlorn. I had a very bad feeling about this. The counselor introduced herself as Dr. Abigail Farnsworth and indicated I should sit next to the cheating woman on the love seat. I chose instead to sit in a smaller wooden chair placed at a 45-degree angle to the love seat. "Good to see you could make it, Mr. Jacobs," she said. "I understand I have no choice," I said, crossing my arms in front of my chest. "True. Still, I'm glad to see you here." She turned to Simone. "Tell me, Mrs. Jacobs, what do you hope to get from these sessions?" "I want to get back together with my husband. We're going to have a baby, and I want to be a family again." I snorted in derision as she said that. Abigail looked at me. "And what do you hope to get out of these sessions, Mr. Jacobs?" she asked. "What I want is for you to realize there's no way I'm reconciling with that," I said, nodding my head in Simone's direction. I saw her recoil when I did that. Abigail nodded her head. "Not even for the sake of the child?" she asked me. "I honestly don't think it's my child. If by some miracle it is, I'll pay child support, and I'll do everything I can to be a father to it. But there's no way I'm reconciling with her. Period. End of sentence." "Not even for the sake of the child?" she asked. I pulled out my phone and brought up the videos that were sent to me. I showed them to Abigail. She was clearly disgusted with what she saw. When they finished, I put my phone back in my pocket. "I see you're married, doctor. Tell me, if that was your husband in those videos instead of her, would you want to reconcile? And what if you learned he had been doing that to you for more than a year and actually did it in front of you? Would you reconcile then?" "This isn't about me," she said. "This is about the two of you. And now you have a little one to think about." "Wrong, doctor. She has a little one to think about. I don't believe her child is mine. In fact, I'd be willing to bet on it. I would like a few answers from her, though." Abigail thought for a moment, then nodded her head and looked at Simone. "I think he's entitled to some answers, don't you?" she asked Simone. She looked down, sheepish, her face burning with embarrassment. She finally looked up at me before answering. "I guess so," she said. Abigail looked at me before speaking. "The floor is yours," she told me. I nodded my head in thanks and turned back to Simone. "The night of the party, you knew what was going to happen, didn't you?" I asked. "Yes," she said. "And that's the real reason you didn't want me to go with you, isn't it?" I asked. "Yes, it is. I tried to warn you that you wouldn't have any fun." And you were right. It was the absolute worst night of my life. When you kissed me at the party, you deliberately made sure you had those two men's essence in your mouth when you did, didn't you? Her face burned red for a bit. "Yes, I did," she said. "Why? Did I do something to deserve that kind of humiliation?" I asked. "You did nothing. We just thought it would be wicked and exciting. So all of you planned to humiliate me, didn't you? And you intended to humiliate me even further at Ben's place, didn't you?" "Yes and yes," she said sheepishly. "How long have you been screwing those guys?" I asked. "Pretty much from the time I joined S&G. "Again, why?" I asked. She shrugged her shoulders. "Because I liked it. It was fun. It was naughty and exciting. They made me feel sexy." "How many times did you give me sloppy seconds or kiss me with their essence still in your mouth?" I asked. "I don't know. A few." I felt like throwing up after hearing that, but managed to keep myself under control. "How many men did you have intimacy with since you started there? Not counting me," I said. "I don't know. Maybe 4 or 5 dozen." 4 or 5 dozen? You've been with 48 to 60 other men over the last year? My God, woman, are you out of your mind? Haven't you heard of STDs? What, were you trying to kill me off with something? Do you even know who the father of this child is?" "Not 100%, she replied. "But you expect me to raise it and pay for it, don't you? You're a real piece of work, you know that?" "But I love you," she said quietly. "Well, I don't love you," I said, my anger building. "Not anymore. In fact, I hate your guts right now, and I hope you rot and die of AIDS." Both of them looked at me, shocked. Simone looked as if she was about to start crying, but I didn't care. In fact, I wanted to hurt her even more with my words and started to say something else, but Abigail stopped me. "That's enough, Mr. Jacobs. You've made your point. I see you're determined to throw away 5 good years of marriage." I didn't throw anything away. She did, the first time she spread her legs for another man. And it wasn't 5 good years. 4, maybe. The last year, she wasn't really my wife. She was just a dump for everything she could get her hands on. You heard her. She screwed 48 to 60 men over the last year. She doesn't even know who the father of her child is. No, I will never, ever reconcile with that. All right, I think we've heard enough for today. I want to have a session with each of you on an individual basis, then we'll go from there. We scheduled our appointment for the next week and left. I heard Simone call out to me when we got to the parking lot, but I ignored her and went to my car. As I pulled out, I saw her slumped over her steering wheel, sobbing. Good, I thought. Let her feel some pain for once. That night, I got a call from a very angry Linda. "I hope you are happy," she yelled. "What do you mean?" I asked in response. "Simone is in the hospital. She had a miscarriage. She told me what you said and the way you treated her. So what do you want? Sympathy?" I simply told the truth, which is a lot more than she did this last year. "Didn't you hear what I said? Your wife is in the hospital. Don't you care about that?" "Frankly, no, I don't," I told her. "My God, you really are a bastard." "Well, you guys only have yourselves to thank for that," I replied. "The very least you can do is go down and give them your insurance information. Legally, she's still your wife and you'll end up getting the bills anyway." I calmed down for a moment and remembered what Jenny told me. "All right. What room is she in?" Linda gave me the information and I went to the hospital. When I got there, I made my way to her ward and conferred with the nurse. I gave them my insurance information and briefly spoke to the doctor. "Any idea what caused this?" I asked the doctor. He shook his head. "It's hard to say. There's a number of things that can happen in a pregnancy," he replied. How far along was she? I asked. I'd say maybe 9 or 10 weeks along, he said. That meant it was possible the child could have been mine. I would never know, however. It didn't matter, though. As far as I was concerned, her miscarriage only meant the divorce could proceed. How is she doing? I asked. She'll be okay. I want to keep an eye on her for a little bit, but she'll be able to go home in a couple of hours or so. Thanks, I said, before going into her room. She looked like hell, lying there in the bed. She looked at me with tears in her eyes. Linda stood at the end of her bed. Are you happy now? She spat at me. Shut the hell up, I growled. Linda shrank back from me before leaving the room. I looked at Simone. I guess we're really through, aren't we? She asked. I nodded my head. Yeah, we are, I replied. Do you really hate me as much as you said earlier today? She asked. Right this second, no. But there's no way I'm taking you back. You've proven that I could never trust you out of my sight. Every time you went to the store, I'd sit at home wondering if you were pleasuring the clerks at the checkout stand. Besides, I simply can't get past your blatant disrespect. I don't get it. I treated you like a queen all those years. Did I do something to make you turn your back on me all of a sudden? No. You were the best husband and lover a girl could want. Obviously not. Or you would have told those clowns to bug off, I asked. It wasn't you, it was me. They brought out the cheating woman in me and told me that every guy wants to see his wife get taken by other men. I guess I just bought into their nonsense. I saw the other girls doing it and thought, why should I miss out on all the fun? And that's all it was. Just fun. Yeah, it's all fun and games until the spouse finds out. I waited a few moments before continuing. Look, the divorce is going to happen, no matter what you do. All you're doing is wasting your time and money. End this charade and move on, okay? We're done. I'm never taking you back. All right, she said quietly, tears falling down her face. I'll tell my lawyer tomorrow. And don't ask if we can be friends. I don't see that happening. The tears kept falling down her face. I'm really sorry, she said quietly. I looked at her for a few moments. Yeah, I said as I began to leave her room. Goodbye, Simone. I could hear her cry as I walked away. Tough stuff, I thought. Good riddance. A few days later, I got a call from Jenny. True to her word, Simone dropped all of her objections to the divorce. Abigail wrote a report that said reconciliation was impossible. She included a suggestion that I go through anger management, however. The judge agreed and made the same recommendation, although she fell short of making it an order. Jenny managed to get settlements from S&G funds as well as Ben and Dale about a month later. She handed me the largest check I had ever seen in my life. That's minus my take, of course, she said. Of course, I responded. I deposited the check and went on with my life, such as it was. S&G, or Sodom and Gomorrah, as I tended to think of it, closed its doors about 6 months later. It seems that its customers felt they couldn't trust the company with their money. Wonder why? I wryly asked myself. I never heard from Ben and Dale after that day at the apartment. They both spent 30 days in the county jail for their stunt and apparently didn't want to go back. Their reputations in the community were destroyed, and they left for greener pastures on the West Coast. Simone and Linda continued living in the same apartment and ended up working in a strip mall retail store, one of those places that specialized in women's clothing and cosmetics. I saw them around from time to time, but never acknowledged their presence. I stayed single and dated periodically over the next couple of years. I finally met Claire Hansen, a recent divorcee, and we dated for a few months, each of us taking it slow and easy. Like me, she had been burned by a cheating spouse and was still hurting from that. I understood her pain and did all I could to support her. The first few weeks, all we did was talk or go out for dinner and a movie. She was a bit more fragile than I was at the time. We spent a lot of time holding hands and walking through the park. I was quite attracted to her and decided to let her make the first move. One night, after a delicious lasagna at her condo, She looked at me as if studying a specimen under a microscope. "Do you find me attractive?" she asked. I smiled and looked her in the face. "I find you very attractive, in more ways than one. Why?" "I was just wondering," she said. "You've never made a move on me. I was beginning to think that maybe you don't like girls." "Oh, I like girls just fine. It's just once burned, twice shy, I guess." "I can understand that, but we're not all like your ex-wife." "True, and we're not all like your ex-husband. I happen to believe in the sanctity of marriage." She smiled. "I know you do. I hope you realize I feel the same way." "I do," I said. "So, what are you going to do with this little bit of information? Do you think you could manage to do more than give me a kiss on the cheek?" "Where would you like me to kiss you?" I asked, teasing her. She slowly lifted her dress over her waist. She gave me a sultry smile. "Well?" she asked as she spread her legs for me. I smiled and got down between her legs. Oh yeah, things were definitely looking good. And that's the end of today's story. If you enjoyed it, please give this video a thumbs up and drop a comment below. Your support helps the algorithm push my content further. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It really helps me keep creating more stories for you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.